In lesson 7, A Reason Not the Need, what we're going to look at is Lear's descent into madness. And what we did today in class was look really closely at Act 2, Scene 4, where Lear finds Kent in the stocks, gets into an argument, or starts an argument with Regan. Goneril comes and eventually leads to Lear's big speech declaring his madness before he goes into the storm. But I want to rewind a little bit to show you, after leaving Goneril, how this descent has already begun. Also, in 1-5, you see more of the interaction, maybe of the Fool and the Lear in a little bit different way than we have in the past. I see the Fool really consciously trying to both niggle and critique the king, but also trying to cheer him up. Recently I read a critic who said, and in fact it was Harold Bloom, who said something like, Lear doesn't actually hear the Fool. I thought that was a very interesting comment as well. He kind of hears the words, but he doesn't hear the meaning. And again, thinking about what Lear's madness and the insight it gives him, it's worth thinking about. Shall see thy other daughter will use thee kindly, for though she's as like this as a crab's like an apple, yet I can tell what I can tell. He knows that a crab isn't like an apple, and that his Regan will not treat him as kindly either. What can you tell, my boy? She will taste as like this as a crab does to a crab. Thou canst tell why one's nose stands in the middle of one's face. Again, riddles. But this is one about sight, okay? Why is your nose on either side of the ears? So what? To keep one's eyes on either side's nose, that what a man cannot smell out, he may spy into. Something about sight and being able to see. The Fool keeps pointing to this. And there comes for me one of the heartbreaking lines of the play. I mean, I think I did this whole section just for that. I did it wrong. And it's his first moment of realization that he made a mistake. And I would say that, his outrageous outbursts to Goneril, the swearing, the brutality, Peter Brook again, I always go back to that production, the way all those knights trash her house. That's the crack. But now the fissure is there. The crack has gone all the way through for King Lear to actually acknowledge I did it wrong. And then immediately the Fool jumps on top. He also doesn't hear Lear, or does he? Changes topic. Can you tell how an oyster makes a shell? No. For I neither. These are these jokes, these kind of misdirections, dead alleys. That's what humor is about. But there's also a kind of purpose in it, kind of keep him occupied, keep him talking. But I can tell why a snail has a house. Why? Why, to put his head in, not to give it away to his daughters and leave his horns without a case. His horns without a case. A snail, I don't know why I've drawn that, but that's the image. Again, mocking. But I think it's soft mocking, soft, but still. Lear, poor Lear, I will forget my nature. I'll forget my nature. This word, it's changing. It's multiple meanings in the play. What does it mean here? What does it mean when nature is a goddess? What is nature? Who does Lear call out to when he calls out to nature, my nature? It's something you need to think about in terms of the core meanings of the play. Look how he sees himself. I was so good. I was so kind. I don't know if that's true, Based on the love test, based on his exile of Cordelia, based on his swearing to Kent, based on his swearing to Goneril, I find it hard to believe this. But that's how Lear sees himself. And I think that might link back to this idea of, what you can't smell, you can see. Well, can you actually see yourself? Can you? I don't think he can. He's not very aware. Thy asses are gone about 'em. The reason why the 7 stars are no more than 7 is a pretty reason. I love this adjective, pretty. And he gets that one. Oh, because they're not 8? Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You'd make a good fool. You'd make a good fool. And I think that's a compliment. I think that, but it's also, of course, he was a king. Now he's a shadow. His mind swings again. To take again perforce. Monster ingratitude. He just sees them as like not being grateful. So what was that whole love test about? Was it about that? About them illustrating their gratitude? If thou were my fool, I'd have thee beaten for being old before thy time. Because you shouldn't be old before being wise. Oh. So, fool, old, but not wise. He's an old fool, but he's not wise. And he'd be beaten for being. And then comes this moment. Lear's lament. Oh, let me not be mad. Not mad. Sweet heaven, keep me in temper. That's like his nature. Keep me in my nature. I would not be mad. This fear of madness. When he realizes he did her wrong, there comes a break in his armor, and the fear of madness enters into Lear. So even though it's much more about 2-4, today's lesson, I want to remind you about 1-5 and how it all starts.